What if I told you there's a massive, invisible machine that's quietly controlling almost every part of your life? You can't see it, you can't touch it, but it's there. It's this hidden system that decides what neighborhood you can afford, what food ends up on your plate, and yeah, exactly how much money is in your bank account. The thing is, most of us, we have no idea how this machine actually works.
So let me just start by asking you something that sounds, well, completely backwards. What if trying to force rent to be cheaper is the very thing that leads to terrible housing shortages? It feels wrong, doesn't it? But stick with me, because by the end of this, you're going to see the hidden strings that are pulling our whole society.
Because here's the reality. There is an invisible machine. It's a hidden system of rules that runs our entire financial world. And it doesn't run on good intentions or what we wish would happen. Nope. It runs on a super complex web of human psychology and cold, hard economic forces. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain and uncover the exact rules of the game.
All right, rule number 1. This one is all about why even the best plans can go horribly, horribly wrong. It's about this dangerous idea that a lot of us believe in, that just having good intentions is enough. Let me show you what I mean with a quick story.
Let's jump in a time machine back to 2008. The state of Maryland, they were in a huge financial hole and needed cash, fast. So they came up with what seemed like a total no-brainer. Just raise taxes on the richest people in the state. I mean, on paper, the math was perfect. It was projected to bring in an extra $100 million a year. Problem solved, right?
Well, not so fast. A year later, when they looked at the numbers, it was a complete and utter disaster. Instead of making money, the state actually lost over $250 million. So what happened? Well, thousands of those millionaires, they just weren't there anymore. They packed up their bags, moved their businesses, and just left.
And that is a perfect textbook example of our first rule. The world runs on incentives. See, people don't respond to what you want them to do, they respond to what you reward them for doing. The politicians intended to raise money, sure, but what they actually did was create a massive reward for wealthy people to leave the state. The takeaway here is huge. Always look at the behavior you're actually rewarding, not the one you're hoping for.
Okay, so that brings up a much bigger question. If one little decision can be that complex, how does the entire world keep from falling apart? I mean, have you ever really thought about how you get your morning coffee? How millions of people who don't know each other all work together to get food on your table every single day? There's no one in a control room pulling all the levers.
The answer is kind of mind-blowing. There's a secret language that's doing all the hard work for us, and that language is prices. Think about it. Trying to coordinate every single pizza delivery in a country, it's literally impossible. There's no computer powerful enough to do it. But prices, they solve that puzzle instantly, without anyone even thinking about it.
This totally reframes how we should think about prices. You know, when the price of something skyrockets, it's easy to just yell, "Greed!" But it's more than that. It's an information signal. It's like a giant blazing distress flare shooting up into the sky, telling everyone, hey, we need more of this thing over here and we need it now. But what happens when we try to put that fire out?
Let's look at the classic example, rent control. The promise, it's a good one, make housing affordable for everybody. But when you put a legal cap on the price, you're silencing that distress signal. Demand for apartments explodes, but the landlords, they're now losing money, so they have zero incentive to fix the leaky roof or the broken elevator. And the result? The buildings start to fall apart. It's this tragic irony. By trying to force housing to be cheap, you actually create a shortage of decent, livable homes for the very people who need them most.
And this whole idea of unintended consequences brings us right to our next rule. Every single decision you make, big or small, it carries an invisible cost that follows you around. I like to call it the ghost of your money.
Let's make this super real. Let's say you decide to buy a brand new luxury car. It's $50,000. Feels good, right? You feel successful. But what you don't see is the other path you could have taken. You could have bought a totally reliable used car for, say, $20,000, and that would leave you with $30,000 to invest.
So what happens to that extra 30 grand? Well, over 30 years, with the magic of compound interest, it could easily turn into $250,000. So that shiny new car, it didn't really cost you 50 grand. It cost you a huge chunk of your future financial freedom. That is the ghost of your money. Every dollar you spend is gone, along with everything it ever could have become.
This leads to another idea that feels, well, kind of wrong at first. We're all taught to see a business failing as this terrible tragedy. But what if failure is actually a vital, maybe even a beautiful part of how we make progress? Just think about it. When a big, clunky, inefficient company finally goes under, it's not just an ending, it's a release. It's like a dam breaking. It frees up brilliant people, valuable real estate, tons of cash, and all of those resources can now flow to new companies to build something that society actually wants. So in a way, failure isn't failure. It's the market clearing out the old to make way for the new.
Okay, so we've looked under the hood at the hidden rules of the system. But, just understanding the game isn't enough. You want to know how to win it. So let's build your personal playbook so you can use these rules to your advantage.
First things first, you have to get this deep in your bones. Your paycheck is not for your time. Your boss honestly doesn't care how many hours you sit in a chair. You are getting paid for one thing and one thing only, your specific measurable results. Your salary is just a price tag on the value you currently produce. That's it.
So, if you want to seriously increase your income, here it is, a simple 3-step playbook. 1. Get obsessed with creating more value. 2. Master the hard skills. The ones that other people don't want to learn, because scarcity is what creates demand. And finally, number 3, stop believing the lie that you have to be good at everything.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? If you are an absolute genius at marketing, but you're terrible at accounting, for the love of God, don't waste hours crying over spreadsheets. Pay an accountant to do the math. Then you take all that time and energy you just saved, and you double, triple down on what makes you great. That's how you create a win-win that's basically unstoppable.
Now look, learning all this stuff isn't going to make you a millionaire overnight. That's not the point. But what it will do is give you a rare, almost unfair psychological superpower. You'll start to see the matrix. You'll analyze everything differently in terms of hidden costs, unspoken value, and the invisible incentives that are really making people do what they do.
You're never going to look at a luxury car or a politician's big promise the same way again. And in a world that is absolutely desperate to control your attention and your wallet, you will become almost impossible to manipulate. You'll see the strings. So the only question left is, now that you know the rules of the game, what are you going to build?